that we have been expecting Chief of Army Staff before now. Now is before us. It's supposed to be here by 2:30, but they have been calling like almost every 10 minutes to update me on what is happening on their side and what is holding them down for them not to be here on time as scheduled. I will tell you that since a few minutes to 2 or around 1:30 thereabout, they have called more than 7 times to update me on what is holding them down. Now they are here. Honorable colleagues, we would like Chief of Army Staff to brief us so that we ignite the members' response. Chief of Army Staff, sir, please, you have the floor.
Members of the committee, I've earlier been invited to come before you. Due to exigency of duty, it wasn't possible. I was either in the northeast or southeastern Nigeria, or better still in the south-south, trying to ensure stability within Nigeria. Today, I had the opportunity to come before you. This morning, I had other security chiefs visiting me on the same major issue, which borders on security, internal security of Nigeria, the national security question. I've had the opportunity to come before you. I hereby present myself before this committee. Thank you.
Chief of Army Staff, thank you for your goodwill presentation. Before now, we sent some letters to your office requesting for some documents. I understand that some of these documents have been submitted. You have some of the submission? So.
This one today.
So what happened to the remaining documents we requested for? Huh?
They submitted all this today, which we have not been able to go through this one too, and it's not up to date in the copy.
I've been forwarded to you.
Honorable colleagues, I think you listen to him. All the document has been submitted. You might not have some of the copy because we just received some this morning. Some of this document also like a month ago, right? Like a month ago. You know, so the issue of submitting documents, some of the documents this morning, for us to disqualify this meeting on that basis does not arise, because we have some of this document, part of it before now. So we can be working on that while we are going through the one that we received this morning.
I appreciate the Chief of Army Staff for his eventual presence today and with his team. That is a good one. I would like to refer to his speech while here and draw attention to the fact that this is the house of the Nigerian people. Everybody in this country works for the Nigerian people if you are in authority, any position of authority. And elected officials are those who speak for the 200 million or more Nigerians. So when we speak or when we ask questions, the entire Nigerian people are asking. That is what the House of Representatives is doing. So when you are summoned, when you are asked a question, it's the Nigerian people. If we have that perspective, we will be able to respond better, knowing that we owe allegiance to the people. Sovereignty belongs to the people. So when the people speaks, we listen to what the people say. The explanation of absence all along is understandable, knowing the security situation in the country. And knowing that your position demands a lot of your time going around. And then the fact that we're partners in progress, the House and the security agencies. This 9th House of Representatives have done a lot for security of this country, not only in budgetary provisions, but have made every provision, legislative provisions available for security to be well taken care of in this country. So one would have expected that today that you are able to make this, honor this invitation, there would have been something that sounds like an apology for not being able to make it all along. What we have gotten is an explanation. Mr. Chairman, I worry that this is a deal with the Nigerian people, and the Nigerian people must be treated with some respect, with some idea that these are my employers, not the House of Representatives as indicated by the man speaking or the people currently in office, but by the fact that the House symbolizes the Nigerian people, and the Chief of Army Staff is doing this job for the Nigerian people. So I would ask that the Chief of Army Staff address the House on that issue again, perhaps address the Nigerian people. Some measure of some apology, not just an explanation, will do. We are serving the people, and I think that is very much in order to be done. Mr. Chairman, I want to make that request. And the submission of documents, you mentioned that some came earlier and some are just arriving today. I also think that some measure of explanation on the delay needs to be also discussed. So submit, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Just like last speaker, Honorable says, we're partners in progress, and I believe so too. When you say I offered an explanation, it's as good as an apology. It only tells you the reason why I wasn't here, and the reasons are cogent enough. Even the blind man knows there are problems of internal security in Nigeria. So I think it suffices to explain to this honorable House my apparent inability to be here when so demanded. I've had the opportunity, and here I am before you. I believe we'll continue to remain partners in progress. We'll continue to work for the Nigerian people. The way you work for the Nigerian people is the same way I equally work for the Nigerian people. I command the Nigerian army that is equally peopled by Nigerian representatives from everywhere you come from. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, the Chief of Army Staff is here, and as customary to our parliamentary practice, letters were written, requests were made, and submissions were made by those that were invited. In this circumstance, it is the Chief of Army Staff who represents the Nigerian Army that is subject to the mandate we have as an ad hoc committee to investigate and review the purchase of arms, control of arms, ammunition, and related hardwares of military, paramilitary. It is commonly practiced here that while documents are submitted and the person who did the submission of this document stands before the committee, what you are expected to do now is to make a presentation of the submissions that you already made beforehand, because members have read through the submissions. Members may have questions. It is also possible that these submissions were made by somebody else, maybe not the Chief of Army Staff. But now that the Chief of Army Staff is here, he should speak to the documents as submitted by his office, telling us if he so wishes to read through the entire document, and if the committee is having the time, or if there is a need for an executive summary of the submission that is made. I think this is the point we have in this public hearing. When that is done, the members can now begin to throw questions as to areas they feel they need to know more, much more. So with the kind permission of the chairman and honorable members of this committee, I think the Chief of Army Staff at this point should speak to the presentation, make the presentation as to the document that is being submitted to this committee before we can now throw the needed questions. Thank you, honorable members.
Please, you have the floor. If you have this submission with you, so that you can brief us on it.
The submission before you speaks to the report before you. It is an executive summary. It is very self-explanatory to the extent that it has been periodized, because when you demanded for these reports, you stated specific period from which you wanted this report. You may wish to recall that the Chief of Army Staff took over mantle of leadership barely 2 months ago. The period for which you wanted this report, having been summarized in the executive summary, explains whatever details you will require. Issues of procurement that you so demand to get to know were done by specific individuals. I would rather prefer you call these individuals to better explain to you very specific issues. The general issues have been contained in the report, and a summary, an executive summary, is so contained, it goes to speak about the entire report and explains it. Thank you.
9 House of Representatives have done a very good job in making sure that the security architecture of this country work very well for the betterment of our people. And I'm here sitting down here to say that a lot of our colleagues take a serious pain to invite the Commander-in-Chief of Nigerian Armed Forces, President Muhammad Buhari, to this chamber to come and explain the issue of security, because we believe that this country must be one, and we believe there must be peace in this country. And that is why we took that pain. It's very difficult, and other statement to say that we invite him. So, Chief of Army Staff, we have seen how you, in the theater of war, you command the theater. We saw it. Your appointment, we congratulate your appointment. That is the well-deserved appointment. But when the parliament call you, it should be civil. When the parliament call you, you should respect the parliament and address the issue within the parliament. We know that those individuals that were holding those positions were holding it under you, even under your predecessor. This is the command structure of Nigerian Armed Forces. There was no way you refer us to go and meet individuals that hold those positions. We should call you We should ask you, is when you ask you, then when you go back, you ask your command structure to ask them, what happened, what happened? And this parliament can even invite whoever that was holding the position before you. From 2015. From 2015, we can invite anybody. 2010. Whether he's still in the armed forces or he's outside, we can invite him. But for now, you are the point of call that this parliament will act. And we have seen all the document here. It's before us. We would have wanted to refer us to many things here, but you said that you have done an executive summary. But I can tell you, sir, where in your paragraph here where you recommend that is government to government. We know every procurement of the armed forces is government to government. But you, as a chief of army staff, no, I'm coming. Let me. Okay, Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman, distinguished colleagues. My name still remains Honorable Bid Uchenna Eke. I speak for Abon Bisenga Bala Federal Councils. Mr. Speaker, my point of order is we cannot speak on this document. It's not before us. My colleague, Priye, raised an issue, a very sensitive issue, that the Chief of Staff should go through what they submitted to be sure that these documents came from his office and that he has to officially own it up before Nigerians, before we can speak on these documents. That's my point of order. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, we are all working for the progress of this country. The Chief of Army Staff has told us how he has been meeting people because of the security situation of this country. And this ad hoc committee was set up by the House also because of the security situation of this country. We are here to partner with them. We are here to partner with all necessary agencies that will make sure the situation is very calm. Security, Nigerians are protected and protected very well. Calling him, inviting him, is for him to come and tell us what he knows, his challenges. After all, at the end of our sittings and hearings, we are going to make a submission to the House. If they need more money, if the problem is for the House to appropriate more funds, Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, we will do that. If the problem is the security, the personnel, we also know that. So I want the Chief of Staff to know that we are as important as those people he has been meeting. Because the people that are being killed are Nigerians. They are your brothers and sisters. They are also our brothers and sisters. Honorable colleague said it here. We are working for Nigerians, we are working for Nigerians. And all we are doing is to make sure that lives and properties are protected. I'm from Imo State. Just recently, something happened. Something terrible happened. And that's why all of us are crying. Every day people are killed. Every day, banditry. Every time, terrorism. And the House has set up in her wisdom to say, okay, let us look at these things. Is the problem the Baba, or is the problem the Barbing materials? That's what we want to know. If the problem is the Baba, then we'll call the Baba to say, this is the way to do it. If their materials are not okay, then we'll give them the necessary materials to work. On that note, I want to move, because it is also in this constitution, Mr. Chairman, if you permit me, the section 89 of our constitution says, for the purposes of any investigation, which of course what we are doing, under section 88 of this constitution, and subject to the provisions thereof, the Senate and the House of Representatives, or any committee appointed in accordance with section 65 of this constitution, shall have power. A, to procure all such evidence, written or oral, direct or circumstantial, as it may think necessary or desirable, and to examine all persons as witnesses whose evidence may be material or relevant to the subject matter. B, to request such evidence to be given on oath. What he has presented, he has presented to us an evidence, but he has to own it up, and it has to be on oath. And Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, it is not the chief of staff that will tell us how to do our job. It is wrong. You don't come and tell us, go and invite people. What you know, you tell us. We know our rules, we know the parliamentary rules, we know how we handle our things. Please, Mr. Chairman, I have just moved that he owns these documents. Look at them. The documents, the earlier one and this one, own it up, let him present it on oath, and then we can pick him on that. Thank you, sir.
At this point, I would like our people, the press, to give us little time at this point.
Mr. Chairman, why don't he do the oath? Why don't he do the oath?
Honorable colleagues, we still have the honorable colleagues, one house. We still have our guest here. As I look at him, he's very civil. And as my colleague here said earlier, we are partner in progress. I think we just started to unveil this thing. We will still go far and go deeper than this. Please allow this to go. Our press, please just give us little time. We'll soon call you guys back. Yes, what is it?
Your mic, sir. I wish to, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, for the media not to misconstrue this submission that we go into an executive session. I wish to make this little submission. The issues before this ad hoc committee are issues that relate to security, and the sensitivity of such matters is something that everybody understands in this country, as at the present day Nigeria that we have. Altercations between committee members and the security could be misunderstood, could also be blown out of proportion to the understanding that Nigerians may think something is being hidden. But the basis for the chairman's request that we go into an executive session is to the extent of the sensitivity of security matters. That's why this is being called on. So I want to move formally, by following our parliamentary rules, that this committee go into an executive session to address some salient issues before we can call back the media to come in. I so move.
I so second.
Please, you have the floor.
Right, Honorable Chairman, based on the sensitivity of security as an issue in this country, and knowing the security challenges this country is facing, and the bold efforts and actions of the military in containing the various security challenges, this ad hoc committee, a few minutes ago, went into an executive session to maintain the integrity and confidentiality of our interactions as it relates to the security issues before us. I haven't heard from the Chief of Army Staff, and of course, I haven't satisfactorily answered some of the questions that we're able to put forward in addressing the issues before us. In all, this committee is to ensure that with utmost respect and trust, Nigerians should believe that Parliament and the Nigerian military is working seriously to ensure that the security issues of this country is contained. And as such, knowing that all members here asked questions and answers were given, and also with the promises given that any other information required by this committee, the COAS has graciously said is going to present it before this committee. I wish to move that this committee, today's session, stand adjourned for the 3 weeks period as requested for all further documentations that have been requested by this committee to be presented before us. I so move, Mr. Chairman and honorable colleagues. Let me amend the adjournment. I move that we adjourn for 4 weeks for all the submissions to be made to this committee. I so move.
Thank you, distinguished chairman, our invited guests. I stand as Honorable Bid Uchenna Eke, the man that represents Abombi Sengo Bala Federal Constituency, to second the motion ably moved by my colleague Honorable Priye that we adjourn to 4 weeks for further deliberations with the Nigerian Army.
We hereby adjourn this meeting, this committee meeting with Nigerian Army for 4 weeks. The next 4 weeks, we should look at the date that fall, the day that fall the clock. Look at the day that fall into that 4 weeks and also communicate to them by 12 o'clock afternoon.